Blood, don't listen to these people that say there's a risk in buying a property. The only risk in buying a property is maybe you buy a property that you anticipate it going up by 50 grand in 5 years, and over a 5 year period it's only gone up by 20 grand. So you didn't make a great investment. Obviously, worst case extreme scenarios that none of you that will probably ever be in, you might buy a property that's near a cliff edge, and you sit on that property for 30 years, and in that 30 years it erodes away so much the edge of the cliff. Now your property is in danger of falling off that cliff, and now it's unmortgageable. No one wants to buy it. Now that has happened to people, but just don't buy no properties that's near flipping cliff edge, yeah? Or near, like, you know, like where the sea comes in and that, because the tides and that will erode, you know, thing. There is another risk though, and this made me a bit paranoid when I was buying my first property. So big up my brother in Benga. He said that he watched a documentary where some woman was buying a property. Now obviously this was before I was buying my property, so we're talking like potentially 10 to 20 years ago. This happened in the UK. This woman was buying a property, and somehow some hackers must have hacked into her email, something like that. They pretended to be the conveyancing solicitors, and they said, yeah, it's time to complete on this property. Please transfer the money to this account. She transferred the money to that account. Let's say it was 20 grand, but this is like 10 to 20 years ago. Yeah. She transferred that 20 grand via bank transfer. Boom, the money was gone. She tried to report it to the police. They couldn't do nothing because she manually transferred the money. Obviously, that's an extreme case. And that made man bare paranoid. So you know what I did to avoid this happening? So I used the conveyancing solicitor in Camden. And when it came time for me to transfer the money, and obviously back then it was only 13,600, so it's not big money. It's not big money now, but it was big money back then. So what I did was, so he said, transfer the money to Barclays. The Barclays account was like somewhere in central London. So I don't know, I just had this idea. Let me go to my Barclays. There used to be a Barclays in Edmonton Green. It's no longer there. They're shutting down all the banks. NatWest is gone from Upper Edmonton. HSBC's gone from Edmonton Green. Barclays has gone from Edmonton Green. Santander from Upper Edmonton is gone as well. So they're all shutting all the banks down and that. So I went into my local branch, which is Barclays. Now, I've not banked with Barclays. And I said to them, look, I'm a bit paranoid about transferring over this 13,600. This is my conveyancing solicitor's name. This is the account number. This is the sort code. Can you run some checks? So the bank clerk came with a tablet. You know, they were using tablets at them times. This was 2017. Typed in the account number and the sort code, and a list of names came up. And the bank account and sort code, there are a lot of conveyancing solicitors' names that are attached to it. We literally like went down the list, and my conveyancing solicitor's name was there. So then I trusted it. Now, if I didn't do that, I would have still went ahead with the purchase and that. I would have still went ahead with the transfer, but I was a bit paranoid. This is how, and the good thing about getting a mortgage is the lender will double check your checks. So put it this way, you will not purchase a property that is not worth it, because the lender won't lend you the money. So let's say, for example, yeah, you're looking to buy a house that, you know, should be worth 200, but the seller's trying to sell it for 260. You're not going to get a mortgage on it. The lender, when they send around their surveyor, they're not going to value the property at 260. Couple of Nadia's clients and that, they couldn't get the mortgage because, and then this was a new build as well. They couldn't get the mortgage because I think property prices have dropped a little bit in certain areas or across the country and that. The lender's not valuing that property at what the seller, which is the developer. So imagine, yeah, a developer has built 50 properties on a plot of land. The developer wants to sell it at 200. The lender's saying, nah, man, this property is only worth 180. We're not selling it. We're not lending you the money on this. So the lender they're not going to allow you to make that mistake of buying a property that's not worth it. And that helps fraud prevention as well. Because think about it this way. If I wanted to do a little funny business with one of my peoples, then I could say, all right, cool. This is what we're going to do. Yeah. Because remember, you don't need to go through an estate agent to buy a property. So I've got 5 properties. 4 of them I bought through estate agents. But my second from last property, so my last property was the house that's around the corner. The one before that was the flat that's opposite my other flat. The flat that I bought that's opposite my other flat, I bought that through a private sale. Me and the girl that was shot in the property, came to an agreement. So there was no estate agent. So don't think you have to go through an estate agent to buy a property or sell a property. You can do it through a private negotiation and that. Obviously, your solicitors will still be involved. Don't get it twisted. So anyway, if a man wanted to do something dodgy, do you know what he could do? He could say, all right, cool. No estate agents involved, obviously. The house is supposed to be worth 200 market value. But what I'll do is, I will say that I'm selling it to you for 280. You get the mortgage on it. And then once you get the mortgage on it and I've sold it, I'll give you a little 10 grand or whatever. You know what I mean? Like you could run some fraud on that. So that's why the lenders, before they lend money on the property, they always go and do a survey. Or at least they do a survey. They do like a current market check. So a lot of the time surveyors will go out to the property and have a look. So I had some girl come here, I had some guy come here to value the property. They valued it at 210. My mortgage broker, because I wasn't using Nadia at the time, my mortgage broker said he's never had that happen. A property that I guess that was worth 200, they came and said, no, it's 210. He said that's the first time he's had a property be overvalued than that. Most of the time they will send out a chartered surveyor to come and value the property, but sometimes, if you're lucky, they'll just do it online. Fortunately for me, they came out and surveyed the property. Because if they'd done it online, they would probably have just said 200. But because they came and probably saw the condition of the house and that, they thought, all right, boom, we'll give it 210. So that allowed me to borrow extra money and that. But there's no real risk, really and truly, buying a property. Like I said, the lender's not going to allow you to buy a property, or they're not going to lend you on a property that's not worth it. So yeah, you don't need to really be worried about anything going wrong with the mortgage. The biggest risk in buying a property and getting a mortgage and that is halfway through, at the 3-month mark, the seller pulls out. That's a fucking risk. Trust me, this house, that I bought recently, I was moving bammy blood. Yo, a man was on tilt. Because this is a good fucking deal. I'm getting this house bare cheap, because the house was fucked. And I was thinking, yo, this is kind of like a one of a kind, You don't, I mean, there are properties that go for cheap and that, but most of them are on auction. So I was thinking like, yo, something might go wrong. Like the sellers, they were getting impatient because my solicitor was taking a little bit long. She was moving slow. I rated her. Big up Lauren still, but she moves a bit slow still, but she's thorough. Yeah, I'm a thorough man, so you know what, I appreciate that she's a thorough gal as well on it, But the sellers, the vendors, so the sellers, they're called the vendors. The vendors, they were getting a bit impatient because basically that property there had been on the market for about 7-8 months. No one wanted to buy it because it's a house, a 3-bed house. A lot of people that buy 3-bed houses and that, I mean, 85% of people are going to be first-time buyers and that. Or at least they're looking to buy it to move in. And people ain't got money like that nowadays. Like, it's a full refurb. It ain't just change the carpets and paint the walls and that. It's a full refurb. Because of the way the tenant left the property and that, it was a full refurb. So you need money. You need like 25, 30 grand. If you're not going to do the work yourself, you need like 25, 30 grand to fix up that property. Obviously, it would never cost me that much because I'm doing the work myself. But these tradespeople rip people off and that. So I was moving bammy thinking like, oh, they might pull out and that or whatever in it. But yeah, luckily it went true. Plus, I'd waited a long time to get all of my finances in order on paper. Like, because I could afford the mortgage, but on paper, certain numbers weren't looking good for the mortgage company and that. So I had to wait like a couple of years and that to get all my taxes in order and that. And then boom, my numbers were looking good for them and that. That's it for the video. Stay away. Ton.